In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization. Social organization, dehumanization.
Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Medio Vote by graphic designer Just Visualizer, and of course the images of our friend TelePandemiaChannel2.0Clone. Yes, here we are with the Leo Zagami Show, Saturday, March 23rd of the year 2024. Filled with symbolism, this opening track, and the images that welcome you into the world of the Zagamis. Obama in London, preparing for the Moscow terrorist attack, World War III. Dancing and smiling in the face of adversity. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show.
Utopia, technology, social organization.
Here we are. Christy! Leo Zagami! Live from Palm Springs, California, 5 minutes after 5 o'clock PST. 5 minutes after 6 o'clock Mountain Time, and 5 minutes after 7 o'clock Central Time, and of course 6 minutes now after 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
New York time.
So a lot of things have happened this week, and this show wants to address them like nobody else. Wants to clarify a few points so you have really a more clear perspective. That's where the geopolitical analysis of Leo Zagami comes in. In the meantime, I want to thank the people who support us by purchasing my books, especially the latest one, Volume 9, but also, of course, Volume 6.66 and Volume 7, which are part of the trilogy of Cyber Satan, which I have discussed in an article just published earlier today, which we will also be discussing. No, Christy? And
I sold a couple books.
Yes, you also have Princess, Illuminati Princess, Volume 1
Princess
and 2.
Illuminati.
Let me pick one of your books up here.
That's good.
Confessions of an Illuminati Princess. Okay, aside from this selfless shame, selfless, I say, shame promotion?
Yeah.
Promotion? Okay.
Shameless self.
Shameless. Okay, perfect. We are gonna, of course, start with all the interesting news that regards this week, of course, the
Bronx in the house. Brooklyn in the house. Okay.
Okay.
I stopped.
Apart from the shout outs, so we're trying to do a very serious news.
I'm sorry. I'll stop. I just had to do that.
No, that's important.
I don't usually look there.
No, but sometimes you need, of course, Christy to live up the situation. But let's start from the beginning of the week when we had somebody who we haven't seen for a while going to Downing Street number 10. That's the residence of the British Prime Minister. Okay, this gentleman was Barack Hussein Obama.
President Obama, why should we care about democracy in Russia?
So apparently, the explanation here was that Barack Hussein Obama was visiting the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak because of his foundation. However, The Hill, a couple of days later, said that they were actually discussing international politics and AI. But let's go forward with this clip by The Telegraph that describes this very mysterious visit to which followed the terrorist attacks in Moscow. Because, don't forget, as Donald J. Trump said, this is the founder of ISIS.
Come and have a chat with us for a minute.
Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah, already the name gives you the description of somebody connected to the Islamic religion. But now let's hear it from the words of Donald J. Trump during the presidential run for his first presidency. Donald J. Trump was very open about it, about the fact that Obama was the guy who was responsible, who had created ISIS. I mean, this might seem shocking for some people, but let's remind it today, because this is the moment when you join the Leo Zagami show in which you have complete clarity on the worldwide events. Not just partial clarity or half-truths, complete clarity.
Ignited a controversy with his comments about Second Amendment people being able to do something about Hillary Clinton. He was tossing out more red meat at this rally here in Florida. At one point during this event, he referred to the president as Barack Hussein Obama and described him as the founder of ISIS. Here's more of what he had to say.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
Trump did address the controversy created by his comments on Second Amendment supporters. He described the media coverage as disgusting. In response to that, the crowd chanted, "Lock them up."
And that was only the beginning of the MAGA movement. Of course, Leo Zagami was already supporting Donald J. Trump in his capacity, modest capacity as an Italian, as a president of Italians for Trump. And now I'm an American.
I told you. I
Yes,
told you.
yes, yes.
I said it.
Yes.
You said, well, I hope I become American. And I said, you're going to become American.
And as
And I
an
was
American,
right. And I'm going to never let him forget I was right.
Okay. As an American, I would like to say that it's very sad to see what is happening here, because we know that Joe Biden has hijacked the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, all the institutions that deal with the intelligence and security. And Barack Hussein Obama is definitely behind what has happened in Moscow. So when they say, this attack, it's a terrorist attack. Yeah, but these are mercenaries. And today we will discuss in detail of this. I have taken some notes I would like to read from, and I would like to explain you better who is really behind ISIS-K, ISIS Khorasan. Guys, ISIS Khorasan, the first time we heard of this ISIS Khorasan was when our military forces, as US military forces, unfortunately were leaving Afghanistan because of Joe Biden and that turmoil. ISIS Khorasan killed a bunch of Marines at the Kabul airport. I don't know if you remember that infamous attack. Now, this needs to be clarified here, the situation, because we are talking about another terrible attack that resembles a little bit what happened at the Bataclan Theater concert hall in Paris. ISIS Khorasan developed from Afghanistan, because when Donald J. Trump kicked their asses out of Syria and Iraq, they needed a new place. They couldn't find a new place. Well, courtesy of Joe Biden, they have the whole of Afghanistan where they can train and they can then resurface in the Western world. And not only that, also in Russia, because there is a long history of attempted destabilization of the Russian Federation that goes back to Chechnya, Tajikistan, Al-Qaeda, of course, very much present in Chechnya, but also ISIS. Guys, let's go and see a little bit what happened yesterday in Russia, just to remind the people. And then we're going to see also the first arrest that happened, because these people were trying to escape to go to their friends in Ukraine. Because let's not forget that in Ukraine we have at least 12 CIA bases where they could, of course, be protected. This is the sad event in Moscow.
Стреляют из автомата. Стреляют по толпе. Какие-то люди стреляют. Пока эти.
Very terrible images that we are seeing. These are the images of this attack that went on. Some people say here in the chat, Alex Jones' show Friday was all about linking the Moscow bloodbath to Obama and the CIA. So why is Alex Jones then supporting Palestine and Hamas against Israel? Because it doesn't make sense to support ISIS, Hamas, and then go against ISIS, Hamas. We need to have a coherent line here. We are, of course, witnessing what has happened thanks to the images of 1112, which is a known channel on Telegram. These images bring us, of course, the brutality of this attack that took place in the outskirts of Moscow. Basically, it's a suburb of Moscow where they have this incredible how you say commercial, like Roma is, how you say shopping
shopping
mall,
mall.
where they have also this theater. So here we have the attack.
Давай, туда. Туда двигайся.
Place was also set on fire. So let's check out the day after scenario in this situation that, of course, unfolded one of the worst terrorist attacks in recent times, with at the moment at least 150 people dead, hundreds injured. This was the arrival of the special forces at the place. So how much did they get paid, these mercenaries? Because you see, you have to understand here, the problem that people have not really realized is how the Islamic world, the Salafist world, which basically is the Wahhabi world, which finances the jihadists, the Islamists. All these terms are very particular, and I will have to talk about them in detail to make you understand the way we are manipulated here in the Western world. That's why my next book coming out in a month and a half, volume 10 of my confessions, will finally unleash the truth about how we have basically a 1,000-year-old secret deal with Islam, between Islam and the West, a secret deal that was forged during the period in which the Knights Templars were in the Middle East, that then became in the last 3 or 4 centuries also mainly the Anglo-Saxon build-up of the Anglo-Saudi alliance, which gave birth to the Wahhabi Empire. And of course, that meant the financing also for 9/11. And so I wanted to show all the people who think they know a lot, who is really behind these terrorist attacks, because we have really a necessity here of clarity. I showed you one of the main people responsible, Obama, but we could show, we see, of course, the people who did it. They were captured on the way, I repeat, to Ukraine. Here they are. These animals were paid half a million rubles. They were approximately paid $10,000 to ruin their life. I mean, they were Tajikis. Maybe it's a lot of money for their families who probably will get this money. Who is financing all this? Let's not forget who is financing all this. Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Qatar is behind Hamas. Qatar is where the leaders of Hamas reside. Qatar has been financing the jihadists even more than Saudi Arabia to influence the whole area. That's why when Joe Biden is opposing Netanyahu's taking over Rafah, well, guys, there is no other way of getting rid of this evil, if not going up till the last of these terrorists in Rafah, and then at that point reforming the whole school policing structure within the Gaza enclave, Palestinian enclave, because otherwise they're never gonna get anywhere. You see, this is a destabilization that has been created for now hundreds and hundreds of years methodically. The main people responsible for it are, of course, Great Britain, and then now we have also the Democrats, the Democrats here in America that have taken control of most of the institutions, like I said earlier, including the CIA. They are the ones that are basically responsible for having prepared the ISIS Khorasan. I mean, ISIS Khorasan was created with the intelligence, US-trained intelligence people in Afghanistan with our tax money for 20 years. When we decided to leave, they became ISIS Khorasan because they didn't have, sorry, a second, I'm trying to get this image to appear. I have to maybe here. Here we go. We have a little bit. Yeah. US-trained Afghan intelligence agents, elite troops reported joining ISIS. Now, let's get Christy to read here an article published in November 2021 by Bill Van Oken.
Intelligence agents and elite counterinsurgency troops trained by the CIA and the Pentagon during the 20-year U.S. occupation of Afghanistan are reportedly joining the Islamic State Khorasan. The Wall Street Journal this week reported on the influx of these U.S.-trained forces into ISIS-K, citing unnamed Taliban leaders, officials of the ousted U.S. puppet regime, and people who knew agents and soldiers who had joined the group. In a November 1st interview with Foreign Policy, Rahmatullah Nabil, former chief of the U.S.-backed Afghan regime's intelligence agency, the National Directorate of Security, reported the same phenomenon. Of the ANDSF, Afghan National Defense and Security Forces, who were left behind, I am receiving reports from different areas that, in order to have some protection, they see the Islamic State as a better platform for themselves, and I think the Islamic State is accepting them.
Now, I have a friend who is also one of our sponsors, by the way, who has posted something interesting that I would like to share. First of all, let's nominate our sponsors today, Christy, because we
didn't do it. Oh, no.
Yes.
So we have Bruce,
yes,
Kodish, and Malgorzata Minta. Thank you very much for your donations.
Now, Bruce Kodish has put forward the post which I would like to share with you, in which he says, Alex Jones right now is committing, and I mean, Bruce Kodish is Jewish. He has also lived for a brief period in Israel. And he says, Alex Jones right now is committing blood libel against the Jews, a major trope of real anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, lies about the Jews, incitement against the Jews, etc., by claiming that someone in the Jewish state of Israel told the Hamas terrorists where to go to kill people in border communities. Now, we know for a fact that it was the workers of those communities, of those kibbutz Islamic workers, that gave that information. Of course, there were some inside Sabbatian Frankists in the Jewish intelligence. In fact, actually, Bruce states that later on, that have in some way helped close an eye. But Alex Jones, Bruce, and I'm citing Bruce Kodish, open quote, hasn't done adequate research, doesn't know history, and doesn't have any people for interviews who can tell another side. Now, of course, this is very harsh against Alex. I haven't recently spoke with Alex about this latest development in his journalistic approach because I haven't
We don't
been.
watch InfoWars.
I personally don't have time to watch InfoWars lately, but I hope that this warning from a Jewish person, it's important, guys, because you have to understand where you're standing here at the moment. If you facilitate the Islamic world is going to eat you up. That's the truth. And I think Rambo has some problem that you might have to go and sort out.
I've been trying to ignore him, but he's like whining over there because he got his stomach thing because there was chemtrails. So it's the air.
Okay. So
I have to go away for a little while, but I'll be back. Don't miss me too much, but this will be an empty chair here.
No worry.
Okay, I'll be back.
No worry. So I'm obviously.
I think he's just playing.
No, but we need to, of course, get him to stop. Otherwise, it becomes impossible for you. Okay. We have talked in the past about the difference between the initial approach that Zionism had, what happened with the Sabbatean Frankists, created labor Zionism. And basically, we have tried always to be very clear about where we stand. It is obvious that the Jewish nation has a right to exist, and to side with the Palestinians in any way, shape, or forms, that means you have forgot where all this controversy comes from in the first place, because all these terrorist networks, in one way or another, were created by the same people who unfortunately led to this mess in the first place with the Balfour Declaration, and that was... Have you sorted out?
I looked at him, and I think that he's playing you, because when I went and stood by the door, he didn't do anything but look at me. He just doesn't like that we're doing the show, and he wants me to stop, and he doesn't want me to sit here. He'd rather have me over there with him, and if I bring him over here, he's not going to want to sit here, so that's why that's happening.
Okay.
I'm being called away by my dog.
Now,
I told him to straighten up, though. I'm like, you stop it, we're doing the show.
Okay, well, I hope that he now chills out.
What did you say?
That he chills out.
I thought you said he shits it out.
Shits it out. No, not on the floor of the house.
I told him something. So
okay.
He usually listens.
So I've taken a little bit of notes here. First of all, let's go to one of the main protagonists behind the creation of ISIS and 9/11. So this guy is directly connected to the Bush family. George Bush's father used to consider him a son, because he also was an ambassador to the US for a long time. This person that I'm about to show you is, though, one of the reasons, and he's still alive, is one of the reasons why we are in this situation today. So I would like to introduce you to Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, who is basically a prince that has helped the establishment, the creation of ISIS during his time as the Director General of the Saudi Intelligence Agency from 2012 to 2014. He was trained originally in Great Britain in the Royal Air Force. He then passed on to the Saudi Air Force when he was young, and then he became the Secretary General of the National Security Council of Saudi Arabia. But he was also Arabian ambassador to the United States from 1983 to 2005, which encompasses also the period of 9/11. His wife directly sponsored the two of the 9/11 terrorists that came here to train in California. Just to give you an idea of who we are dealing with, because otherwise, there is a lot of naivety going around. So if you want to fight the New World Order, okay, let's stick to a fight against the New World Order. Now, I didn't want to be critical of Alex or anybody who, of course, follows Alex, because we are also broadcasting this on the band.video channel, and we regard that as a privilege, because it gives us the possibility of giving you uploads of shows 100% uncensored, even when they're censored. But at the same time, we want to stand by my position, which is to constantly tell you the truth and also fight the New World Order. So I showed you, of course, this gentleman here who has always been very close to the Bush family. Imagine that in 2002, in April 2002, he was hanging out in Texas, in Houston, with the Bush family, and this was the year after, basically, 9/11. So, and he was involved directly with it. So here we have a continuous flux of money, organizations which are almost all based in London, a flux of money that comes from countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, but then we have also the involvement of Turkey and other countries. We have what has been described in the past as a Sunni front, which was built in a way to stop the expansion of a Shiite front led by Iran, which of course will include also Yemen and others. But now we have seen that these divisions also, with the Houthis attacking the ships in the Red Sea, probably out of convenience for them, because China and Russia has all the interest to sabotage ships that pass through that through the Red Sea. And then we have the involvement of King Charles III, who has been always very much involved in the Muslim world, especially with an organization known as the Oxford Center for Islamic Studies, which has always been used. It was instituted in the middle of the 80s at the Magdalen College in Oxford, and basically in May 2012 has received one of the most important awards. But one of his founders was Abdullah Omar Nasheed, who was mentioned in a case by the victims of 9/11 as somebody who supported the terrorists. So here we have also very close connections to King Charles, who has always been very close to Saudi Arabia, very close to the Sultan of, to all the various sultans and princes and whatnot. And not only in the Emirates, but also in other parts of the world, because that's his function. We have said, I described in Volume 8 of my Confessions, the fact that King Charles is definitely somebody who is ushering in the age of the Antichrist. He might not himself be the Antichrist, because it's more likely that Prince William is the ideal candidate for this job. But of course, we want to move forward now and talk also about other figures, like, for example, McCain, the late John McCain, Lindsey Graham,
Lindsey Graham too.
These people, like these swamp creatures who have been known to work with these terrorist groups. Remember, it works like this. In the last 3 centuries, they created the West, Freemasons, Sufis in connection with certain Sufi groups, at one point created something that needed to be outside of the Sufi spectrum, which was regarded as too speculative and too spiritual. They needed something a bit more radical. That's when they built the Salafi movement, and they also built the Wahhabi movement, which then became the way they could finance this fundamentalism. When the Salafi movement eventually generated the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and when eventually the Muslim Brotherhood will connect with the Wahhabi finances from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, that's when you have basically the sponsorship of this terrorism. which is still ongoing. I took various notes about certain events. For example, we have the Anglo-Saudi terrorism, which includes the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, ISIS. These are all creations of our intelligence agency. So when we say, it's the terrorist, it's like basically they are creating the enemy. Also, because in the reasoning of the Illuminati, which David Icke always has, talked about, you create a problem to then get a solution. Well, the problem is being created constantly in the Middle East by destabilizing governments, destabilizing countries, even outside of the Middle East, in the Caucasic region. It's now becoming a transnational operation, which is done regardless of the sovereignty of each country, because when they created the Islamic State, they picked up a bit from here, a bit from there. Now, ISIS Khorasan, what does it mean? ISIS Khorasan, Khorasan is a region. It's a region which basically includes Afghanistan, piece of Afghanistan, piece of Pakistan, piece of Iran. They want to put together the pieces of this old region that was part of an old Islamic stronghold back together. This is basically what these terrorists theoretically are telling you they're doing. But the truth is that they gave just some money to some desperados, and of course they told them to go and kill innocent people, because that is a way of destabilizing Vladimir Putin, who has just won the elections. And the guy responsible for it is, of course, Barack Hussein Obama, together with other people, which I'm going to show you. If you want to see who are the real terrorists, well, you don't need to look very far or very further than these three people. These are the real terrorists.
Done, period. I called it a historic day. No one knows that better than the greatest speaker in the history of the United States House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
So, the three terrorists, the three stooges. Okay, let's move forward in talking a little bit about when Barack Hussein Obama came in. He needed to destabilize Syria because they wanted to attempt a coup against Bashar al-Assad, and that will basically come 10 years after having destabilized another Ba'ath country, which was basically Iraq with Saddam Hussein. So they were following a plan. The plan didn't really go as planned because at one point Russia and then also China behind the scenes decided to support Syria. And at that point, what did Obama do? Obama decided to invest $250 million in a bunch of desperados, Islamists that were around the area, gathered them together, and eventually shape together ISIS. The ISIS state that came out of nowhere suddenly had money, suddenly had weapons, and suddenly had the famous pickup trucks. Yeah, but the famous pickup trucks of ISIS, they kind of it was a Toyota pickup truck out of nowhere. Suddenly we had, so ISIS at the time counted 30,000 soldiers. It was
okay, everyone.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm gonna go and take him because he's been whining.
Okay, then
I'll be back.
Oh, don't worry, come back and I will continue in the description of this destabilization, and also, of course, where is the money coming from? And like I said, the money comes from the usual suspects in the Wahhabi world. It works like this. The Salafi movement has created an ideal financier in the Wahhabi establishment and an ideal mercenary in the Islamic, in the Islamist, in the jihadist. So the Islamic State was created out of thin air by an alliance that needed to have still oil coming from those territories, weapons that also would be dealt with together also with Turkey, because Turkey became also as part of NATO. The thing is this, that basically at the highest level of the Illuminati and of the New World Order, they all know that that NATO protects these terrorist organization in one way or another. They are the mercenaries of this New World Order. So let's see what Putin said, because this was his statement made on TV earlier to, in some way, state his position. But remember that if you really interpret between the lines what he's saying, you will understand a lot of nuances from his message that will make you understand that, of course, he's not stupid. He knows what's going on. He knows that this is regarding also Ukraine.
And apprehended. They tried to escape. They were moving towards the border with Ukraine. And
for those who don't know, my wife just left the studio because our little doggy has some stomach problems, so we had to get her to bring the dog out while I'm, of course, continuing the show. But she will be back with us soon.
Have data that suggests that they were about to be moved towards the territory of Ukraine by those in Ukraine. Our military services, our emergency services, everyone is, our investigators are working on finding out the orchestrators of this terrorist attack, those who gave them transportation, who created, who gave them weapons, etc. The investigative authorities will do everything to identify all details of this crime, but it's already evident that we face not just a cynically organized terrorist attack, but a mass killing of civilians. These perpetrators, these criminals, went specifically to kill people, point blank, our people, our children, just like the Nazis that once killed our people during the war. They do the same. All the orchestrators, all those who are responsible for this crime will inevitably be found responsible. They will pay. We will identify everyone who stands behind these terrorists, and they will pay. This is a strike against Russia. We know what terrorist threat means, and we expect that other nations that share our pain will cooperate with us, and we will stand united against this common enemy, international terrorism, no matter where it shows its ugly head. These terrorists have no nationality, and there's only one future for them: retribution and oblivion.
Now, Putin has said clearly that these terrorists were going to Ukraine. And guys, you just have to, I mean, you can go on the internet, and a month ago, I think, the news came out that, in Ukraine, there is at least 12 bases of the CIA in Ukraine. So these people were basically going to their bases. Why they were going to Ukraine? You think they were going to Ukraine for having fun? They were going to Ukraine simply because in Ukraine, the CIA maintains 12 secret bases. So this is the problem here. The problem is Barack Hussein Obama, who together with Rishi Sunak, which represents Great Britain, both these countries are the people behind all the jihadists, behind Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, all the jihad organizations are basically controlled by Great Britain and the United States. So, in 2012, Barack Obama authorized the United States NGOs to support the changes of the change of regime in Syria, and to do it with violence, not with peace. At the beginning of 2013, the Americans spent, because of Barack Hussein Obama, $250 million to help the so-called moderate rebels. These moderate rebels will join all their forces together with the Al-Qaeda and the ISIS groups and then create what became the Islamic State. So the conflict against Bashar al-Assad contributed to the rise of ISIS. At the same time, we had the Euromaidan, the so-called revolution of dignity in Ukraine. And imagine, the United States said they invested for this revolution in Ukraine that will definitely instigate the worst ethnic cleansing against the Russians in recent times. Well, they spent $5 billion. Now, behind all this destabilization, there is, of course, also the Rothschild, the Sabbatean Frankists, and part of the Jewish world. You need to study my books, though. You need to study Volume 7. You need to study Volume 9 to understand how all this is going, because I explained the important role of the Sabbatean Frankist in all this. Jacob Frank was born in Ukraine, guys. Jacob Frank, the guy who claimed he was the reincarnation of Shabbatai Zevi, who then gave birth to one of the most important Frankist movements, which the most important Sabbatean movements that became the Frankism. And then we call them today Sabbatean Frankist. So, moving forward with this destabilization of the Caucasus region, which is, of course, something that was worked for years, so they could basically destabilize and eventually take over Russia, something that they never managed. This is an article from 2023 that describes the cooperation of CIA and Al-Qaeda in Chechen wars, and after the terrible war in Bosnia and Herzegovina ended at the end of 1995 with the desired outcome for the USA, an outcome that will make Bosnia and Herzegovina an unfinished country and a permanent crisis hotspot, was built. You know, that's something that unfortunately happened. Now, they said the most important crisis area of all for the United States in the second half of the 1990s was the Russian Muslim Republic of Chechnya, along with the former Soviet Union territories bordering Russia, Turkey, and Iran. It was in this area that the Americans, with the help of the CIA Secret Service, tried to influence the political economic process that were intended to weaken the Russian Federation with the aim of preventing Moscow from regaining the geopolitical power and influence it had during the USSR. So, what happened? In December of 2013, the United States decided to unite the United States under Barack Hussein Obama. Every time I mention the United States here or America, I'm mentioning, of course, America in the hands of the founder of ISIS, Barack Hussein Obama. Let's go back a second to what Trump said, because otherwise it seems like I'm making this up. Remember that it was Trump himself who accused Obama of being the founder of ISIS. And of course, CNN was all out.
Trump ignited a controversy with his comments about
controversy, but he said the truth. He said the simple truth.
At one point during this event, he referred to the president as Barack Hussein Obama and described him as the founder of ISIS. Here's more of what he had to say.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
So here we have a very clear statement by Donald J. Trump, and a statement which was made during his campaign in 2000, I think it was 2015 or 2016. It was, of course, the campaign for the first presidential race, which ended up with him winning the presidency and eliminating ISIS, because that has to be said also. He eliminated ISIS while instead, when you have the Democrats in power, you will always have them. You will always have these terrorists, these jihadists. Now everybody's scared, alert levels in all the Western world. This is what the Democrats create. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, and I wish that our friend Bruce, who just came into the chat, goes and checks the show after, because we mentioned him and we mentioned also what he said about certain things that Alex Jones has said recently. We need to be very coherent. If we want to protect the Western world, we need to protect Israel, we need to protect the Judeo-Christian against the Islamic invasion. If you are with Palestine or with anything Islamic, you are basically falling into the trap of the New World Disorder. So we've been very clear here, very honest about it. And, I don't care, about any criticism that you might have, but this is the point of view of somebody who has not only fight the New World Order, guys, with consequences. I had to flee Italy and I had to change my citizenship and come to live here in America in 2019. I was persecuted, I was tortured, arrested. How many of you have been tortured and arrested for your ideals? When I went against these Islamic thugs, they even took my only son that I never seen since 2008. How many of you have given up your own son for your ideals? This is important. So let's go into an article which I completely share because the views that they are showing are completely the same views I have. CNN admits Russian concert massacre very embarrassing for dementia Joe, citing resurgence of ISIS. Because in this article, they talk about the fact that Joe Biden has a responsibility. He left Afghanistan, and for that reason, he is responsible. We need to give the responsibility. You see, in Paris, there was the Bataclan in 2015. They killed 130 people with the same modality. Here it says, are they Tajiks? Are they Chechens? Apparently, they are Tajiks. They paid them 500,000 ruble. They paid them something like $10,000. And these are images, I'm going to show you soon, of other arrests. Now, under the Trump administration, this article says, ISIS were completely obliterated by an aggressive and effective military campaign against targets in Afghanistan and across the Middle East. However, it appears they have managed to regroup in recent years, partially as a result of Joe Biden's catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. This is the truth, guys. This is the truth. You're back, Christy.
Well, it was a big, colossal waste of time. I followed his butt all the way around this place.
Oh, well.
He did not go to the bathroom.
No, no. The incredible thing here is that basically, while Putin vows revenge for bloodbath and these Moscow attacks, pointing the finger clearly at Ukraine, people are saying, well, no, it's the terrorists, it's the Islamic terrorists. No, the same people who are financing and pushing this war between Ukraine and Russia are the same people that are behind all the jihadists. And of course, like I said, Hamas is ISIS. So to treat in any way the Palestinians are being a country that you can deal, a country, Palestinians don't even have a country, they have this enclave, but like I said earlier, if we don't clear it all up and don't re-educate them, they will come back again with more terrorism, because you see, the intelligence agencies of the West know very well how to recruit and manipulate these terrorists. And they know, because the deal was made 1,000 years ago, not 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, over 1,000 years ago, in a lodge based in Cairo. Cairo is the place where all this comes from. That's why the CIA, the Qatar head, and the heads of the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, they all meet up in Cairo. That's what I will be discussing in my next book that is going to come out in 1 month from now, in volume 10, 1 month, 1 month and a half, I don't know. But this book will tell you the secret story of a lodge that was created during the Fatimid dynasty, and from that lodge comes all the evil up to this day. So just keep that in mind. Regarding the Caucasic region and the rise of ISIS-K, ISIS Khorasan, like I just said, and like I said also in this article we just read from the Gateway Pundit, it will not have been possible without America abandoning Afghanistan. It's like we gave them the possibility of having a new open playground with no US presence any longer. That responsibility comes from the people who are now in the White House, apparently visibly headed by Joe Biden, but in reality headed by Barack Hussein Obama. So that is a very interesting thing. Now, in December 2013, the United States accepted to unite forces with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, and Great Britain to finance ISIS. This is basically what happened in 2013. That was 11 years ago. In 2011, Syria became the new territory where they could play the big game. The big game groups that we have also mentioned in the past are involved in the big game. Various Illuminati think tanks and groups that we could say are provocators at times, agitators. The jihad basically grew in Syria because they destabilized Syria. They could then recruit and prepare these terrorists. That in the end were pushed to destabilize, though, the country that was coming to help Syria, and that was Russia. Let's not forget that. So ISIS, together with Al-Nusra, with Al-Qaeda, created this jihadist stronghold. And let's not forget in all this also the assassination of Gaddafi, the head in Libya, no? Because that is also part of the destabilization project of the Middle East. And it was ordered by Hillary Clinton with the participation of France. You see, France, that's why Macron is pushing for war in Ukraine. France is like the bulldog of the United States in NATO. So this is basically what is happening. Now, destabilizing Libya, and who arrived after destabilize Libya? Terrorists, jihadists, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Now, they have also created these emirates in the Caucasus region. When the conflict with Syria got more harsh, the Chechens got involved. Let's not forget that apart from Kadyrov, the loyal Islamic soldiers of Putin, you have also the jihadists that are pushed from the west to destabilize these regions. There is various regions of the Russian Federation that are Islamic, and so that is where the CIA, the Illuminati, that have this whole deal with Islamic world. Now it's very complex for me to Tony Blair. Somebody's mentioning Tony Blair. Tony Blair, I remember he gave that famous speech in 1999 about the destabilization of these areas. Tony Blair is one of the main people responsible, just like Cameron. That's why Obama went for this mysterious get-together with Cameron, who is the former prime minister and now is the foreign minister, with Rishi Sunak, and probably even Tony Blair. Who knows who was at number 10 Downing Street when Obama went there. So Obama, guys, is really the main person responsible. Let's see another of these desperados from the ISIS-K that was captured after the attack at the Crocus City Hall in Moscow. Now, this is the shorter version of the video, and it's like shaking. But in a longer version, basically, of this video, the guy says, I've been paid 500,000 rubles. I've been paid to do it. So they are not doing it for any ideas. Now, at the beginning, there was an attempt to say maybe it's not ISIS. ISIS claimed that it was them. But initially, people were saying, oh, well, they claim a lot of things. It might not be true. So ISIS posted this image that basically shows exactly who were these people a few hours before they were arrested and after they were arrested. So you see, they recognize them from also what they were wearing, because they're wearing the same things a few hours later, the same things that they used for the terrorist attack, and then after they were, of course, arrested. 4 of them, at least 3 are shown here. There is mystery on the 4th one. I show you also an image from the other one that was, this was the first one who was immediately captured literally during the event by the Russian special forces. So this was, of course, a scene from one of the arrests, but the most dramatic scenes are definitely the moment in which they were escaping, the desperate escape from this terrorist.
Блять! Ёбаный в рот! Блять! Блять!
Паника, паника! Паника, тише! Тише, паника!
People were escaping left, right, and centers. There is various scenes of the escape that have surfaced on the internet. Is that other people were escaping. This is not a Russian psyop, guys. This is a Barack Hussein Obama psyop organized with Rishi Sunak. Is a false flag, yes, because it's of course made under the false flag of ISIS Khorasan, which is the CIA under the control of Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden. This is the truth. So then if you want to make some kind of fantasy so you can ascribe it to the Russians, well, that's not going to work, because the evidence here goes back for decades of a collaboration that started, unfortunately, a long time ago in the Anglo-Saxon world. So it's a collaboration that has made impossible for the Middle East to ever stabilize, because a stable Middle East is not in the interest of the Western world. And Igor always gives us a pretext for some military industrial complex intervention that then, of course, brings a lot of money to the relevant parties, including the army industry, the weapon industry, and so on. So the Islamic State, ISIS, is not just an accident, an historic accident. Is like some will make us believe. It is established out of the anti-terrorist program built in Washington, D.C. That's it. That from June 2014, the Islamic State incursions in Syria, the way the military intelligence operation, the military intelligence operation was obviously supported by NATO and Saudi Arabia. Now, there is, of course, also the involvement of the Mossad and the involvement of the Sabbatean Frankist element within the Israeli military-industrial complex. That is something we have to take into account, because that is what eventually brings to the accusations that the whole of Israel is involved with this, but it's not the whole of Israel. What happened on 9/11 was not only the responsibility of some Mossad agents. That's not how it went. The responsibility of mercenaries that were paid, mercenaries from Al-Qaeda. There was, of course, George W. Bush behind the scenes with his father, who was controlling everything, who had basically already attacked Saddam Hussein 10 years earlier and wanted to get his son to finish the job. We know what happened. We know also what happened with the invasion of Afghanistan, because if we are talking of ISIS-K today, ISIS-K simply is those elements in Afghanistan who were, without a job after the Americans left, because they were part of the Afghan intelligence, and suddenly they found that, oh, you want a new job? Yeah, go and attack Russia like you used to do back in the days. Because let's not forget how Al-Qaeda was created. Okay, so how was Al-Qaeda created? Al-Qaeda was created because Osama bin Laden was a jihadist attacking the Russians on behalf of the CIA and America. We paid for years Osama bin Laden, who used that money to build up his empire. So yes, of course, there is the involvement of the Rothschild, of the Sabatian Frankists, who are very powerful within the banking system worldwide. But militarily, it's always unfortunate that we have to deal with either the neocons, the legacy left by the neocons, Bush and the neocons, or the Democratic Party, which still is bringing us all this evil. So the CIA has been behind a lot of all this, and the rise of ISIS Khorasan is only made possible thanks to the CIA, like I showed you earlier. So the fact that now we are seeing ISIS Khorasan attacking Russia, attacking Moscow, this is just to destabilize. You need to exit the matrix. And actually, guys, today we are celebrating an anniversary in the Matrix, because this film came out 25 years ago. Wow. Which brought us the concept of the blue and the red pill, which, of course, all the concepts that are within the Matrix film are from let's say, picked up from a Gnostic background. It's pretty obvious. So there is this Mr. Smith, which has obviously the archons of the Gnostics. We have a lot of things that are copied just from the way the Illuminati perceive reality. So with the red pill on the left, you see, you can go to the highest degrees, or otherwise you stay in the blue lodge, in the blue pill. This is the anniversary. 25 later, we are all trapped in the Matrix, because it's true. The Matrix is being built up by the AI, by the digital prison of cyber Satan. And so I wanted to open the last part of the show that is instead dedicated to something different, because, of course, I wanted to discuss in detail what has happened with these terrorist attacks, but now I would like you to see my latest article on leozagami.com, because I find it very important, and I think Christy would like to read it, so you can have a clear idea of what is about to manifest, because it's no joke. Huh?
You better make that really big.
Okay, let's see if you can manage. The chilling rise of Chinese humanoid robots preparing to become the army of the Antichrist by 2030.
Okay.
So here we go.
In Confessions of an Illuminati, Volume 9, I wrote, today's Illuminati consider themselves the Gnostic elite, the pneumatics.
The pneumatics. Pneumatics.
Pneumatics.
Pneumatics.
Pneumatic.
No, because that comes from a Greek phrase, it's very important. And it's actually the pneumatics that are the elite of the Gnostics.
Okay.
that will save the world in their idea, of course.
Okay, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. That will save the world heirs in the ancient Gnostics, born
To
from
the ancient Gnostics.
Yeah, well, it's in that weird font.
Okay.
To the ancient Gnostics, born from ancient Mesopotamian Gnosticism, as well as
Zoroastrianism
and
now this is interesting. Actually,
why don't you read it?
Yeah, in fact, I might read it, but I want to just stop a second because these three elements are the ones that we also find in the Cairo Lodge that generated all these problems, but also the alliance that will be eventually done between the Nizari, Assassins, and the Knights Templars. That was the first alliance within the Muslim world at the time with Shia Islam, and then that was the beginning of this 1,000-year-old alliance, which I discuss in my latest book. But moving forward, which here, the Gnostics threatened Christianity as well as Judaism in their numerous attempts to sabotage the Mosaic laws. And now the Gnostic Illuminati have obtained the technology to build a new Atlantean world order, and using robotics and AI, they will help Satan and his legion enslave mankind while they enjoy their gnosis.
As I also explained in volume 6.66 and volume 7, 2 more books where I publicly define the Cyber Satan trilogy and how the goal of AI, aka Cyber Satan, is to achieve complete control of the planet by 2030, and how the contemporary Illuminati plan to build a new Atlantis with the help of China and its encompassing cyber satanic world
it's all
order.
Encompassing because Cyber Satan could really not arrive to the levels they will arrive today without the help of China. And I will explain more about this actually in this article.
Oh,
I wrote for almost 20 years.
Okay, there it is. Books and articles about the key role of Communist China in the Illuminati project. So that's why, to speed up this process, humanoid robots might soon be brought to the homes of everyday people according to a new robotics center in Beijing. Officially, the robots in question, which use AI and resemble human bodies in shape, are expected to propel China forward in its tech war with the US. But the truth is that China is building the future army of the Antichrist for 2030, ready for the rise of the Antichrist. The center launched a few months ago called the Beijing Humanoid Robot Innovation Center.
Innovation Center.
Innovation Center has so far provided minimal details about its project to release a general purpose humanoid robot prototype.
Now let's go into the article the South China Morning Post, which is a mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party, has done on this subject. China sees rise of humanoid robots as disruptive innovation that will spur economic growth. So they have a positive or a good view about it. Apparently, they would like these robots to be in each household. By 2025, they will start producing a big amount of them.
That's like next year.
This is because, like I explained in my article, which we will continue to read, the actual growth of the Chinese population has been put in jeopardy by their one-child policy, which ended up in 2015. So they need robots, otherwise they will not be able to accomplish the future of China. They want to become this leading nation in the world, but they are in decline in regards to the production of the babies, because of what happened with their one-child policy that lasted until 2015. They were throwing away, killing children, aborts.
And then they killed the girls too.
They killed everybody until they realized that was going not only against nature, but against their own interests and, of course, against God. But that made them a favored with Satan, you see, because they sacrificed so many babies that they became the number one nation in the eyes of Satan. So Satan decided to give them an award, how you say, something in return, and that will be to lead as the dragon the apocalypse. So they will be the one giving the power to the beast with their AI. So here we go.
Whoa.
With the center, which is the Beijing Humanoid Robot Innovation Center. These are some of the robots that have been seen in the latest Beijing exhibit. This Chinese vision of the future seems a unique opportunity for the implementation of Cyber Satan's global takeover, because it comes not only amid China's fierce ongoing tech war with the United States, but also as China faces serious demographic challenges, including a rapidly aging population, as well as a property market crisis. That's why I go on Revelation 13:2, that gives an ulterior confirmation of China's diabolic role as the dragon of the apocalypse, that gives his power and his throne and great authority to the beast of Revelation. So here we go, Christian.
You did that so good.
Okay, then I
You
will
should do it.
The Beijing Humanoid Robot Innovation Center was reportedly established last year and involves both private and state-owned robot manufacturers. A source described as a person in charge said leading experts and researchers from the robotic industry at the center were looking to create a common technological platform, a public service platform, and a regulatory standard for the humanoid robot industry. They added, in the future, humanoid robots may enter automobile manufacturing, 3C, computer communication and consumer electronics, manufacturing, and other fields, thereby further improving the industrial and manufacturing level. China is hoping to turn this into a money-generating project by transforming the humanoid robot sector into an important new engine of economic growth by 2027, according to China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, known as MIT. The center's humanoid robots will be a technological convergence of artificial intelligence and new materials that will help China to make the country more self-reliant and competitive against the US. But in secret, they are planning to take over the world. Let's not forget that with China. But China's involvement in the Middle East is also a very important part of my new book. And what is going to become the army of the Antichrist, because that's why China could soon replace human soldiers with robots. This is what China is doing now. They are establishing a robotic, a robo army, an army of robots. That is where they want to go. So the People's Liberation Army of China, the Chinese People Liberation Army, PLA, the armed wing of Xi Jinping's Chinese Communist Party, has been working closely with scientists to develop new age drones that can replace humans completely in complex military missions. The drone will have the ability to fly, but this is only the beginning, because after they will simply build an army of robots that will become the army of the Antichrist. This is basically the plan of Cyber Satan. Now, you heard it from Leo Zagami first. Keep it in mind with everything else that we have said today. And I want to show you, though, this video, which I find funny, partly funny, but also, well, tragic, because we have all seen what happened this week in El Paso, no? With that brutal invasion of these illegal immigrants. You can't call them illegal. This is what Joe Biden has said after calling this immigrant illegal during his State of the Union. Now he backtracks on MSNBC. Here we go.
You use the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing.
So you regret using that word?
Yes.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
I mean, funny but tragic at the same time.
What?
You know?
What was that?
Well, what was that? This is the thing, you see. I think that Elon Musk probably this week was pretty open about what happened when he published that video on X about what is the reason behind letting all these people in. It's simply to get the Democratic Party to take over the show politically, to change the political
political
landscape of America,
landscape.
okay,
Yeah,
and to transform it into a shithole where
no, we're not gonna have it.
But what I'm about to show you is really far out, guys. It's heavy. Close your eyes if you don't want to see it,
well, I don't want to see
because this is about a man who was arrested after he basically stole a human leg from a fatal train accident and he started to eat it.
What?
This happened in California. Somebody was talking about
he ate his leg.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, ¿te la estás comiendo?
No, he's eating the bone. Oh no. No. Oh my god, it's real fun happening, guys.
I think it's better.
I don't want to watch anymore. It's like, I'm gonna be sick now.
But this is happening because these people are transforming America, unfortunately, into a shithole. I mean, it's incredible what they are doing. What World War Z, for real, not for.
People. God, I say that every day. What is wrong with people? Every day I say that. What is wrong with people? I don't know. You can't stop shaking your head. You just can't.
It's insane.
It's hard to watch.
It's hard to watch.
Really.
It makes us understand that we are at a point of no return. That is about time to reclaim America.
And yes, together, we will make America great again.
That's it.
I'm going to start crying.
And for those people who criticize the fact that we support Donald J. Trump, who you want to support, idiots? Who you want to support?
He already proved he could do
RFK, you can like RFK, you can like him because he was good maybe back in the days when we were talking about vaccines and all that, but guys, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. Any other candidate is a joke, and Leo Zagami knew it first, and that's why in November 2020 I said we need to focus on re-electing Trump in 2024 while everybody else was losing it and they were getting sidetracked, and they were basically, like I explained in volume 7, which is, by the way, one of the favorite books of the shaman who entered Capitol Hill, volume 7 tells you how this psyop was arranged. And I think that...
And they don't let you read that book. What books? They don't let you
there is some
Arizona prison.
Yeah, in some prisons in the United States, they don't let the inmates read the Leo Zagami's books. I think that was volume 2 in particular. Wow. I hope you all understand that the importance of today's show. You will be able maybe to share it on your social media. we need a little bit more exposure because we are censored, we are shadow banned. They have removed 17 YouTube channels from October, November 2020, right? When I started to talk about things like Hunter Biden and how fishy those 50 intelligence experts were, and I transmitted the audio testimony of Biden talking about his links with the Chinese intelligence head and all that. Well, they just removed one channel after the other. Telling the truth was, of course, not popular on YouTube, but at the same time, other platforms have not given us the possibility of raising as much interest, because on Rumble we are kind of surviving. Twitter, we are on Twitter at Ordo Illuminatori Universalis, but Elon Musk has still to unfroze the Leo Zagami Twitter.
He won't, because he's part of it.
There is a Leo Zagami official profile on Twitter is still frozen.
They say the worst things about me on Twitter, terrible things.
No, but they have unfrozen, basically. They have let other people continue their work on Twitter. They haven't done it with Leo Zagami.
No.
So I hope that you will continue to support the show. This is our GoFundMe. You can use it also with PayPal. We have been banned by PayPal, but you can use it with GoFundMe. And we have also Cash App. You can find the handle at leozagami.com together with all my latest articles. We have mentioned a couple of them today when we talked about Obama, and also when we talked, which is basically the subject of today's show, and also with what's happening with China and Cyber Satan, which is incredible. I mean, the fact that they would do such a social experiment of planting a robot in each household in the next couple of years. I mean, these people are insane. Okay, Christy.
These people are insane. What is wrong with people? Every day.
Every day. Read also,
I'm ready for a dance because I'm tired of this.
Volume 1 and 2. Christy can also give her own testimony on years of weird stuff that went on behind the scenes when she was in Italy with me, and
I said all of it. I didn't hold anything back. I just let it all out.
Well, it's,
I don't know what that did.
Without any censorship.
I don't know if I'm making any more.
Well, but
only a cooking book. That cooking book is in progress.
In progress. Christy's cooking book, so you can eat as well as Leo Zagami. Yeah, and Leo Zagami eats like a king every day, thanks to Christy.
You do.
So, guys, if you really want to eat some great food, you will have to purchase the up-and-coming cookery book by Christy. And here we go with our last.
It's not the last one.
Well, no, that's at the end of the show.
Okay. It's kind of final.
Here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I.
Shh. Look out for the devil. Look out for the devil. Look out for the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I. You're so afraid of old man Satan. Now, why don't you stop your hesitating? You're gonna be a long time dead, so the devil with the devil, says I. You're always giving me the dickens, telling me that life's no easy pickings. But just as long as I have fun, why, the devil with the devil, says
Donate, purchase our books, support us, and we will come back with more shows. And, of course, a Saturday show on YouTube, Facebook, and Bando Video.
Remember,
be stronger, that ain't gonna make me live no longer. So even if I go to...
He was playing you just like they said.
He was kind of...
no, but he did not.
Maybe you want to just participate in the show.
No, I don't want to. You're out there to win.